Okay, vaping versus smoking. Well, obviously, there's not been a lot of research on vaping, but I can tell you one thing. I used to smoke cigarettes. I used to smoke cigarettes. And subconsciously, I knew I smelt bad because of smoking. Due to circumstances within my life, I forced myself to go into vaping. And you know what? It was one of the best things I did. And now, when I vape, I still get my nicotine hit. I don't know the issues. I don't know whether it'd be worse in the future. I don't know what the things are with vaping. But one thing I do know is I don't stink of smoke. I don't smell horrible. And that was the worst thing. And subconsciously, I did know. I did know that it smelled bad. And I hated it. I hated it. Because my family would come round and I was the only smoker. Yeah, a few people vape, but I was the only one still smoking. And I hated it because subconsciously I knew I smelt the smoke. And wow, through circumstances happened in my life, I decided to stop smoking and go on to vapes. It wasn't I'm just going to do that. It was through certain circumstances that made me want to do it because it would have been better for my circumstances at that point in my life. So I did. And I can tell you what, like I say, I don't know what the what do they call it? The future holds on how it is or like what how it affects your body. But I am so glad that I changed to vaping. Honestly, I knew I smoked, but it was only when I changed to vaping that I realised how bad I smoked. And like I said, I only did it because the circumstances in my life at the time put me in a situation that was very awkward and very, I don't know what the word is. It just wasn't right. The person that I was with, they had quit smoking and they were vaping. And I was having to go out of the way, go downstairs, go outside to have a cigarette because it wasn't right to smoke in their place, make their place smell. And I wasn't spending the right amount of time with this person because I was going outside for a cigarette. So I decided to change to vaping. And yeah, best thing I ever did. I don't, like I said, I don't know what the consequences are, like health wise, compared to smoking. If it's better, if it's worse, I don't know. But one of the other things is a lot of pubs will accept you vaping and not smoking, so that's made things better as well. So it made things better that I could spend more time with the person I cared about. Because they vaped, but and they'd gone from smoking to vaping. But it wasn't fair to make their house smell of smoke, so I had to go outside. And then I found myself like outside all the time, like every 10, 20 minutes or something. So I tried vaping. And yeah, it was a little bit of a transition period, but it did work. and I'm glad I did it. I mean, it wasn't overnight. I had a packet of cigarettes. So I was, because cigarettes are expensive, aren't they? So I wasn't just going to chuck them away. So I got a vape and a packet of cigarettes. No, I already had the packet of cigarettes. And then I sort of, one night, I think we was at the pub, I transitioned between smoking and vaping. I eventually got onto the vape and finished the packet of cigarettes. And yeah, at first I was buying disposables. And actually the disposables were working more expensive than cigarettes. But eventually when I worked things out and I realised the way to get your vapes, the way to get your liquids and things like that, I actually realised I could actually reduce my cost of vaping from smoking. I was spending it, and I wasn't a big smoker. I only smoked at night. I didn't smoke in the day, but I only smoked at night. But I'd probably go through 10, 12 cigarettes in the evening. On the vapes, it wasn't working. On the disposable vapes. But then I got onto the refillables, and I went, and this is as a part-time smoker. I only smoked at night, not in the day. And as a part-time smoker who only smoked at night, I took my costs down from smoking from 150 to £100 a month to like 10, £12 a month. Now, I don't say that vaping is the best thing to do, because it's still something you shouldn't be doing, like cigarettes. But it took my costs down, and I am vaping. And I also find now that when I are around people that have had a cigarette, and they always say the worst people are the people that have quit smoking. Well, I can't say I've quit smoking, because I haven't quit smoking because I've started vaping. But it's better to smell of a fruit that you're vaping than a cigarette. Now, best thing I've ever done. And if it hadn't been for the situation I was in my life at that time, I probably wouldn't have done it. And I'm so glad I am. So if there's any of you out there who think about it or can't get on with it, just keep trying. Just keep trying. Because eventually, like I did, eventually you will get to be able to vape. And then you will start to see the way you smelt when you had a cigarette. And I'm not being horrible to people that do smoke. I'm really not. But when you get to this position, and me and this other person are both of the same thought process. Now, if you want to smoke, that's up to you. But honestly, if you get onto vaping, if you don't want to quit smoking, get onto vaping. Because if you do get onto vaping, at least you smell of the fruit and not a cigarette. And then you will realise what it smelt like. And you don't have to give up the nicotine because you can vape. So please think about that. Honestly, the only reason I did it was for somebody else. But it was the best thing I ever did.